Hello again. We are live for the 14th episode of the Pro Extinction podcast with Steve and James. Today we're covering wild animal suffering. Wild animal suffering accounts for most of the suffering on the planet and is therefore extremely important and something that should not be ignored. Let's just get this podcast link sent out to everyone. Right, that is the new link. Steve.
Yeah.
So, I think the biggest problem is that there's just massive discrimination against wild animals and their suffering right now, really, in terms of complete lack of empathy for them, right? You have vegans, for instance, who don't make up very many people, and they don't seem to care about wild animal suffering at all. They come out with the old usual tropes like nature is beautiful and we should just leave animals alone. There's no point interfering with them. It could go wrong. Would probably make it worse. It's all just defeatism and giving up before even trying, essentially. But most of all, it's discrimination. And this is something I've tried to cover in my videos recently on my brand new YouTube channel, Universal Extinction. I was looking at the idea that essentially, there's no point discriminate. It doesn't make sense to discriminate against animals. So if there was like a mosquito or an insect that was going to be tortured for a day, right? You wouldn't put someone through that, right? You wouldn't put your child through that if they had to experience being a mosquito and being tortured for a day, right? That kind of dispels any, they're less conscious, they feel less pain kind of attitude, right? Because we should be cautious and we shouldn't assume that they're having paradise levels of pleasure when everything else seems to indicate that they're not, and that it's actually basically just eternal suffering for them. So if you wouldn't put your child through that, then why should any animal have to go through that? So discrimination is just illogical and selfish, essentially. Steve, are you there? Are you with us? I think Steve is having a bit of lag.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm just posting the link everywhere. I'll just join you back in a while. You just keep talking.
Okay.
Is just going to be a couple of more minutes.
Sure thing, Steve. Yeah. So, as we've established, there's no reason to discriminate against animals, right? They suffer in the same way that anyone else does, maybe differently, but they still suffer. Each life, no matter how different it is to you, is still a life. It still potentially or most likely experiences suffering and sentience, right? So it really is unfair to discriminate against them, to say that their suffering is worth less consideration, and in fact can just be completely ignored, even when there is an alternative to having all of this suffering, which is to not have any of it at all, which is what we're all for here at the Pro-Extinction movement, of course. So naturally, it makes sense that animals should go extinct. There's no point for them to suffer for billions of more years to come. How feasible is that? Well, it's actually quite possible. Obviously, humanity has already made several different species go extinct. We're currently working on making several others go extinct as well. Now, obviously, that isn't on purpose, and that isn't by design. That's just humanity wrecking the environment. And it doesn't even necessarily really make much of a difference in terms of reducing suffering, because other animals will just fill that space. However, it does show that extinction is quite a possible thing. Now, for it to be actually implementable, you would have to reduce reliance on animals, not just in terms of agriculture, but in terms of ecosystem. So even if everyone had plant-based food tomorrow, you still couldn't get rid of all the animals. It would just be impossible for now. And that's something that we have to work towards changing, which is more than feasible. And that's what we should be researching and implementing, so that we don't have to rely on those animals and can end and prevent their suffering. Well, that would be deep, because Steve's probably about that there'll never be total extinction of animal population until there's complete and universal extinction. Right, Steve?
Yeah. So I think before we get into all that and wild animal suffering, I think we should take a look at. I think this is the right podcast to take a look at activist numbers. So if you take like the total number of animals, right? There is estimated to be like 20 quintillions, right? So uh, this is the number not counting unicellular animal life like protozoans. So 20 quintillion is a lot. It's 20 billions of billions, right? So if you compare the number of humans to it, it's just 8 billion. It's 8 billion, like, versus 20 billions of billions. It's like billions of times more than human population, right? So if you take um, issues that go around the world, just take Gaza war, for example, right? That is the most recent issues. If you see, like, worldwide, lots of protests have happened for Gaza, right? For achieving peace in Gaza. So, like, thousands and thousands of people have participated in these protests, right? So this is a this Gaza issue is not even a speck of dust compared to, like, the people who live in Gaza. Their population is not even a speck of dust, or it's not even a
Drop in
small.
the ocean.
Yeah, it's like a grain of sand in the entire world's beaches, right? So that's what this is like if you compare it with 20 quintillion. But if you see, for this issue, there are thousands and thousands of people, even millions of people would have protested for this, achieving peace in Gaza. So if you take every other issue, if there is a single rape that happened in India, for achieving justice for that single woman, like, thousands and thousands of feminists, they gather and they do protests, right? So if you take other issues like black rights, or anti-slavery, thousands of people have protested, fought for it, done activism for it. These are like totally like small, like tiny issues. As I said, it's just a grain of sand in the entire world's beaches, right? So for this tiny issue, if you see the issues, if you see, like, tiny, I'm saying, by population, right? The number of sufferers is very, very less, right, compared to the entire animal population, right? So for this, if you see, like, thousands and thousands of people, they come to the streets, they protest, right? They are even ready to sacrifice their entire lives for fighting for these issues. So if you just go to the next level, right, that is the farmed animals. hundreds of people like gather around the streets. They do protests, they do marches, right? They do all kinds of activism, and the number of farmed land animals is around 70 billion, right? This is also like still the number of wild animals is like 20 quintillion, like billions of times more than farmed animals. Hundreds of people protest for it, thousands of people protest for human issues. But if you take wild animal issues, they are the world's largest number of sufferers. But they would probably have, like tens or hundreds of activists at max, right? So can you like literally you can literally see the imbalance here, right? As the number of sufferers get higher, the number of the amount of activism done gets reduced, right? So yeah, uh, all these people say like all of you extinctionists, you don't give voice for this, you don't give voice for farmed animals, you don't give voice for human issues. I mean, like this is the biggest issue ever, right? Like, and none of you pieces of shits give any, voice. And like, wildlife suffering is not even considered a form of suffering, right? If
Yep.
if if tribal people in Africa starve, they are not considered as wild animals. They won't say it's part of nature. They just go and give them some bread, right? So they're not like, don't interfere in nature. Starvation is so natural, right? Just document it. Make a documentary film. So if somebody's starving, like go and shoot it in camera. So they'll just give them some bread, right? So, but wild animal suffering is not even considered as suffering, right? We have made movies like Lion King to completely normalize and even uh, make it
Realize
sound, yeah, make it sounds as something that is beautiful. But yeah, so
romanticize.
but yeah, so but if you are if your face is getting ripped apart by a crocodile while you're shouting, you're gonna pull out a gun and shoot the crocodile. You're not gonna respect nature at that time, right? But when it comes to wild animals, it's so normalized. It's nature. Fuck them, right? So and there is a huge imbalance here, right? The world's largest issue has the world's smallest number of activists, right? As the population of sufferers get higher, even farmed animals have lesser activists than that of human issues, right? So all of this comes from basic speciesism, right?
Mhm.
So if you are giving if tribal people don't deserve to starve, then why do wild animals? Why is this
Yeah.
natural suffering acceptable and that not acceptable?
So I don't know if it's just necessarily speciesism. That's definitely a big part of it, but I think it's just overall discrimination as well. Because yes, you've got millions of people around the world protesting for Gaza, but then you have nobody protesting about any of the other wars and genocides that are going on in Africa, right? No one gives a shit about them because they're black, basically.
Yeah, that's also true, but
And because of
at least
perceived injustice, right? So people see Israel as being extremely advanced and powerful, and Palestine as being, the underdog, the victim, basically. There's not an even fight. So if two countries in Africa are going to war against each other, that's nature, right?
see again, this is world politics. Obviously, like. Uh, I think why people aren't giving voice for North Koreans, right? People who are suffering in North Korea from absolute dictatorship, right? So this guy, if some dust is, so you have to hang his photo on your house. On every house they should have Kim Jong Un's photo, and if they have dust on it, like, they'll be killed. So this is what is going on in North Korea. And obviously, if North Korea had some oil or some kind of other benefit, obviously these people will be saved by now. Again, this is world politics. But so obviously, even that's what I say in all of my videos, all of my podcasts, right? Discrimination is something that you can never abolish, like never. Like, there is always going to be people who are fighting over this, right? So always there is going to be politics, or always there is going to be uneven uh, amount of fair treatment, right? So it's always going to be there. Right. And obviously, Hitler is painted to be out as a devil, but larger genocides have happened in history. Yeah, Hitler is nothing compared to that, right? But uh, people right now, they are protesting that immigrant against immigrants, but most of those idiots are immigrants themselves.
Yeah. I
Native
know two.
Americans are native.
I know two
Native,
people like
yeah. So Native Americans are, native, and you just took over their home, and you even celebrate it as a festival, Thanksgiving, right? So
thanks for the cookie.
yeah, so just because you won in World War II, you're not the devil, right? Hitler is the devil, and so uh, there is a dialogue in One Piece also. Like, a guy says, like, history is whatever the victor writes it to be, right? So it's not the exact dialogue, but something like this. So all these kinds of things happen, and we cannot abolish discrimination. But the thing is, out of all this, I think the wild animals are the most ignored victims, the most ignored, right? Theirs is not even recognized as suffering by anybody. So even I was talking about North Korea, right? They are ignored, and nobody's trying to help them. But still, there are at least some YouTubers who just post the stories of refugees who escaped North Korea, right? There are even some activists who are advocating like these people need to be saved. So, but wild animals, when you take it like that, is not even recognized as suffering, right? If Kim Jong Un goes ahead and kills some people, it's recognized as suffering. But this zebra and the lion stuck in the cycle of killing each other. So either see a newborn calf, like a zebra calf, like the moment it's born, it's being ripped apart alive by hyenas, right? And the mother can do nothing but stand and watch. But you cannot blame the hyena either, right? You cannot make them out to be the villains, because if you just see there, like, there will be some hyena cubs, their kids, who are eating that zebra. This thing absolutely doesn't need to happen, right? So you either kill the baby of, you should either sacrifice someone else child, or someone else child will starve, right? So this is like absolute madness that needs to be recognized, and that needs to be, like, represented. This is the um, um, people, like different activists are complaining, like Israel isn't fair. These Americans aren't fair. Democrats aren't fair. Republicans aren't fair. Uh, Labor isn't fair. Conservative isn't fair. But this is the entire nature of existence itself. Like, you cannot be fair. It's survival of the fittest. But when it comes to this, people don't recognize it and say, okay, nature is mother. It is something very pure,
Yeah,
something very.
life isn't fair, Steve. Didn't
Uh-huh.
you know? Life isn't fair. And they say that like it's a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, life isn't fair. That's also our point, right? So, so what is morality then? If not, uh, fighting against the unfairness. So are these people admitting, okay, life isn't fair, but I'm still gonna be pro-life? They are admitting they are being unfair, right? At least they are honest. So yeah, these are the most ignored victims, and often most the, the, there is also a matter of uh, uh, people not recognizing what all things happen here. Like, for example, like, people just think, like, I think we even had a comment today. uh, how is nature suffering, right? I think you sent the comment in the group. So how is nature suffering? You just get chased by a fox once in a while.
Yeah.
Right. So
And you
first part
escape
is,
every time.
yeah, so the first part is, you can literally say that sentence for anything, right? You can just go to a rape victim and say, life is so good. I mean, you just got raped once in a while. Like, how is it bad? Right. So I don't think that is a fair point to make. So I think if some tiger or a leopard is chasing you, you'll be shouting for help. You wouldn't be like, this just happens once in a while. Let me just try to run and escape. Like, you won't be that casual, right? And the other thing is, the other thing you have to note here is, usually people don't recognize, like, they just think it's just about predation, right? So once in a while, like, a lion just pounces on you, it eats you, and uh, one or two of your kind dies, and that's it. But that's really not nature. Right. So like, if you just you know go see, I tell people, like, you're building a shelter, you're having clothes, you're protecting yourself from nature. But let me just give you this challenge right now. Just remove your shoes and go for a trek inside a forest, right? Just remove your shoes, keep a gun, keep some food for you, right? You don't have to entirely be in nature, but just remove your shoes. Just go for a trek inside a forest and come back. You'll know what kind of hell nature is, really. Like,
Oh no,
just
but
walk.
Steve, they evolved for that though. They love that kind of stuff.
Who loves that kind of stuff? See, like, people who love nature, right? They just go inside a forest in jeeps. They stay in a wooden cabin, like, cozy with blankets, right? They don't stay out in the cold. They stay with food, right? They don't jump out of a plane, Bear Grill style, and just remove all their clothes and experience real nature without any food, clothes, water. I mean, if
These
every
people have seen too many cartoons for kids. That's it. There's too many
yeah,
cartoons. Rotted
yeah.
their
So
brain.
yeah, I'm just giving them an open challenge. Like I just say, like, if you're a nature lover, right? Just go into a forest, carry a gun to protect yourself, carry some food. Just go into a forest without a shoe. Go for a trek, right? Walk on the stones, walk on the thorns, right? Walk on the places where insects will bite you, right? Without shoes. Go protected, have a tent, no issues, right? You will really empathize with wild animals. The problem is you are just going fully protected and you are just looking at the scenery. You are in a very, very comfortable position, right? So yeah, I don't think like these nature lovers really, they don't know what all goes on in this nature, right? So imagine like this one thing, right? Uh, this is not a random event. This actually happens in nature quite a lot. Baby animals, right? In the small dens, uh, like newborn animals who haven't even opened their eyes yet, they often get eaten alive by ants. This happens very often, right? So and in the case of birds, right, this happens even more. And sometimes these birds who don't take flight, right, they just up until the end they don't learn to fly, right? These birds who get abandoned by their parents, they just fall into the water, and they just sometimes they are not even killed by any predators. They just start rotting like while they are still alive. This is a kind of suffering that happens in nature, right? So abandonment. And again, people will think like this is so harsh, these animals who abandon their children. I mean, like, if you don't abandon the child who got his leg broken, right, you won't be able to reach water in time so that you and the other children can live. So you are literally forced to abandon your children in nature. So this is the kind of you just imagine this happening to you, right? Imagine happening in a famine ridden area where there is nobody to help you, right? Your kid's leg gets broken, and this is actually done by humans also. Actually, there is evidence, like 10,000 years ago, 12,000 years ago, human tribes, when their children, they, not even, they don't even necessarily have to have injury. Uh, they abandon children just because they are slow. They just buried them alive, right? This has happened. Humans have done that, right? Right now you don't have to do that. You live in a society. You just have to go to a supermarket. You have to go to a job, get some salary, go to a supermarket. That's why you are privileged, right? So imagine having some children, and then like having to choose whether to get your group to the water or stay with your children and die with them, right? That is nature. Empathize with them a little bit, right? This is what happens to wild animals. It is the worst of the worst kind of suffering.
Yeah.
So
Um, and I think wild animals also have zero disease prevention, right? I mean, I'm not saying that it's a great life to be a farmed animal, but at least they have some benefits, right? maybe some warmth, safety. Yeah, it's probably absolutely horrible, don't get me wrong, but at least they're not being predated on. At least they get medicine, right? So yeah, wild animals presumably have it way, way worse, right?
Yeah, actually, there is a. Uh, I think I can take maggots here for example, right? So immediately after you get an injury, you go to the doctor, right? You just or you don't even need to go to the doctor, right? You just apply some antiseptic you have in your home. You just wash your wound, right? So this is a simple thing, antiseptic. You don't even need to go to a doctor. You just wash your wound. But in forests, if you have the same injury, right? So what happens is that this wound, in this wound, some flies will come and keep some eggs, right? So these eggs develop into maggots, little worms, and they start, eating you alive. This is another thing that is actually common in nature. Like these flies, they actually, I don't know if they are flies or wasps, but they just lay eggs inside your womb or wounds, your injuries, and they just these eggs just hatch. These worms start growing, eating your wound, right? And sometimes these wounds even get infected by bacteria, right? So, flesh eating bacteria, and it gets bigger and bigger. And then you start scratching it, right? And then it gets even more bigger. And it keeps getting bigger till like your entire thing is exposed, insides is exposed. And then finally you die. So, these animals, they don't have any hospitals to go to like us, right? And these pro-lifers sit and comment like nature is so beautiful, right? While having to experience all these privileges like hospitals. Not even hospitals, like just a simple thing that's an antiseptic solution, right? Which you might have in home right now.
Yeah, so it's just completely upside down, basically, is what we're saying.
Yep.
Hmm.
Humans completely left. See, all these nature lovers, I see them advocating like we have to go back to nature. We shouldn't do things like we do it right now. But actually, if you take history, humans escaped nature. They build homes because they are done with fighting with predators, fighting with natural disasters, harsh weather conditions, right? They built clothes and blankets because they can't bear the cold anymore, right? So they made guns to protect themselves from predators, and they made civilizations. They made laws so that other groups cannot attack you anymore, right? So all these things we did to escape nature, right? So these nature loving morons, all they want to do is like they just want to go to a jungle and live in a cabin, right? Which is also not nature. I mean, I just see who is stopping them, right? Just go into the forest right now, lose all your clothes. Who is stopping you? Nobody is stopping you, right? If you love nature so much and you want to live with nature, who is stopping you? If nature is so beautiful, go there. But don't take anything that is made by man, right? So this guy was even saying like you get to eat some very tasty berries. Just climb some trees with your bare hands, right? You're a monkey. You can still do that. right? You have elongated hands, and just climb a tree, pick a fruit, eat. Peaceful life, right? Try it. I just dare all of you nature lovers, just go, right? Don't take even a single man-made thing. Go to nature, right? Be a nudist, right? Go to nature, have some leaves, right? Eat some wild fruits, right? Let's see if you survive more than 4 days.
Yeah, it would be nice if these pro-lifers could actually, when they're telling us how they feel, give us, the full sentence, the full story, right? Like, I want nature to continue because I think it's beautiful, even if it means trillions of babies get tortured for billions of years to come, right? That's the
Yeah,
part that they don't say.
yeah. Just because you want to look at a scenery, like baby animals deserve to get eaten by ants, right? Pro-lifers haven't yet justified a single suffering. They just talk about all these pleasures, beauty, etc., but haven't provided a single thing that can justify what happens in nature.
Well, no, there is nothing. So, Steve, why do you think that pro-lifers are so against animal suffering or for it?
Okay. So
um,
I think the basic thing would be like discrimination, right? They don't look like us,
right.
right?
It's so
So
it seems to be some sort of evolution-based discrimination, right? It's a lot easier to go and kill a monkey and eat it if you have no empathy for it, right?
yeah, so the thing is, certain people okay, let me give you an example, right? So um, these people who have pets, right? It's not even discrimination about animals or discrimination between species anymore. Let me just give you an example, right? So uh, one of my relatives, right? They have a dog, pet dog, in their home, and when they walk the dog, some street dog came and picks comes and picks a fight with their dog, their pet, right? So what this guy does is my relative, he just goes and breaks the stray dog's leg. So you can't even call this guy a speciesist anymore, right? So it's just about my pleasure, my family. I don't care about literally anything else, right? So um, I even when I used to fight for animal liberation, I used to take interviews of dairy farmers, right? So I don't have that interview anymore, but still I will never forget this interview, because one dairy farmer, he knows I am recording it, right? So he's saying on record that even if human milk was legal, he would rape, artificially inseminate, and farm some humans, because only he just directly says it. I don't care. Like, I only care about the legality, because I have to provide for my family, right? So discrimination for anything starts from here. Like, you just you're just selfish, right? That is the root cause of all these things. So, like for a little bit of money, you won't even hesitate to rape someone, right? So, uh, that's where all of these things start, I think.
Yeah, it's
Selfishness.
sorry.
Selfishness.
Yeah, yeah, selfishness and lack of selflessness or lack of
Yeah.
empathy.
I mean, it's not even lack, right? When it comes to things like this, it's like absolute zero,
Hmm.
right? Empathy is absolutely zero. If somebody is saying like only me and my family deserves, you know, this is exactly, even in our debate, somebody said the same thing, right? So he was saying something like, morality is subjective, and I'll kill animals, or natural suffering is deserved or something. Then I asked him like, if morality is subjective, then why shouldn't I kill your family? Like my subjective morality says me to kill your family. Then he's like, no, no, I know you are a moral person. You won't do that. Right. So they just expect morality when it comes to their own self and their own families. And this is the peak of selfishness. Uh, that's what it is. They're like nothing else. Like I'll just do whatever I want. Nobody can question me. This is the very core of thing that we are fighting. This is the root cause of why pro-lifers are against wild animals. So even for a little bit of pleasure, even for a little bit of, see, even going to zoos is a little bit of pleasure for you, right? Right. So like you just take an example, right? So uh, uh, you just go to the zoo, you eat some cotton candy, you just point at some animals, but for that you are completely enslaving that animal in a tiny area, and you are literally torturing that animal, right? So uh, that is what pro-lifers are. They will go to any extent, right? To torture victims, right, that they don't agree with, because they look black, they look Asian, they look like an animal. They'll go to any extent just so that they can have a little bit of pleasure. That's why pro-life is sadism. So the root cause of all this is like, not even selfishness, it's like pure evil. Right. So this is, you cannot even call this selfishness. Like you can absolutely be an extinctionist, but still for the little bit of pleasures you just go ahead and shamelessly defend life. So if you don't give a chocolate to someone and if you eat it by yourself, that is selfishness. This is like beyond selfishness, this is pure evil.
Yeah, yeah. This is maximum evil.
Yeah.
Couldn't really get much worse, could it?
Yeah.
So, yeah, like you say, at the minute, there's essentially no concern for wild animal suffering. It's not even considered suffering, which is ridiculous.
Exactly.
If there's an
Yeah.
animal, if your pet is suffering, then it's suffering. But if it lives in the forest, it's not suffering, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, would you say that the people that do work with wild animal suffering, or are looking into supporting ending it or doing something about it, are more likely to be extinctionist orientated?
People who are looking into wild animal suffering, who is, except extinctionists?
Well, there is a subreddit, wild animal suffering, but they are
See,
completely
that is like a,
dead.
like
Yeah.
a really different thing. Like even like I think somebody gave a link of a webinar in our group. They were discussing about wild animal suffering. All they were doing is like, they were talking about rescuing animals, like some injured deer. You just bring it back home, put some little bandages, and then take the deer back and put it into the crocodile's mouth. Right. And these people who rescue wild animals, right? They are the funniest people of all, right? A lot of them are vegans. Okay, so what they essentially do is they rescue some pythons, eagles. These animals are like obviously obligate carnivores, right? They talk about anti-speciesism, then they just kill some mice and feed the python. They feed some chicken to the eagle. They do that. So they can't even see, like, okay, I'm not saying like eagles deserve to die or anything, python deserve to die or anything, but what they should be essentially seeing there is the inevitability of suffering. You have to kill that mouse to in order to feed that python, right? Or you have to put a live mouse inside a closed cage and let the python eat the mouse, hunt the mouse without any choice, right? So these people are the first ones that technically should be able to get extinctionism, but they don't, right? So extinctionists are like really, really different. Uh, extinctionists come from like places where a lot of emotions are not involved, but a lot of logic is involved, right? So an extinctionist, let me give you the difference between emotional empathy and rational empathy, right? People who are empathetic but are not extinctionists, and people who are extinctionists and are empathetic. So, people who are emotionally empathetic, if they see a suffering dog, their first motion would be to feed the dog, right? To rescue the dog, right? But a rational empath, what he will do is he will search for a permanent solution. What he will do is he'll probably bring he'll probably bring the government officials to get the dog sterilized, right? Get dogs in his area sterilized so that he doesn't have to face this problem again, right? Emotional empath, what he'll do, he'll not recognize the permanent solution or the logical solution, and what he will do is he'll do the exact opposite. He'll just throw some oil into the fire, right? He'll just go and feed a lot of dogs, and what will happen is these dogs will reproduce and get even more bigger. Now he'll be left with no money to feed them. Right? He'll feed 10 dogs. These 10 dogs become 30 dogs because ultimately population depends on resources, right? So if there is a lot of food in an area, population is going to get higher. So these 10 dogs will become 30 dogs. Now he cannot feed 30 dogs anymore, right? So a logical person, what he will do is he'll not feed these dogs. What he'll do is first he'll get these dogs sterilized or euthanized, right? So this is the difference between extinctionists. So where extinctionists come from is a rational background. They'll not be searching for like weird solutions like rescuing wild animals. This is where you will find absolute morons, absolute idiots who will not even be able to who'll kill some mice to feed some pythons, right? Mice is equal to python. There's literally no difference. They both suffer. Right. We need someone who can look at this. Okay, I shouldn't feed the python the mice. I should euthanize both of them because inevitably they are going to suffer. Or at least he'll at least look at sterilization or some other logical solution. He'll be looking for prevention, right? And not take any emotional measures that satisfies his own savior complex.
Yeah, if
So
you
this is
save one
where
dog, it doesn't help any other dogs, right? It just allows every other dog to suffer.
No, you are even more wrong. Like the thing is, what happens is basically I used to be a rescuer. So what happens is, if there is like 10 deer in an area, right? You just go and rescue one of them, right? The deer will just reproduce and become 10 again. There was 10 deer in that area because there was resources to support that 10 deer, right? So there was food like grass and there was water to support 10 deers. So you rescued one of them doesn't mean that another one won't be born. Right. So in nature always population depends on resources. So same applies to dogs as well. Like if I rescue 5 dogs, tomorrow if I go and see in the same street, 5 more puppies would have been born. So what I should do, I should have done here is I shouldn't have rescued those puppies. Instead, what should I should have done is I should have first gotten the mother and the father sterilized or euthanized, right? So this is the difference. Like these rescuers, what they will do, they'll oppose euthanasia, right? They'll oppose all the logical solutions. They just want to keep rescuing to satisfy their savior complexes. So this is absolute bullshit, and this is not somewhere extinctionists would be found. Extinctionists would be found where there is a practical solution, right? So extinctionists would be like targeting. So even if you take veganism also, right? There are two types of people. Like I know some of my friends who are let's just forget all the farmed animal factory farming causing reforestation and all. Just look at farmed animals alone. So there are two types of people in vegans, right? Some vegans, they just go into a factory farm or a butcher shop. They just rescue some chickens, come back, and they'll be like, "Ha, I just rescued a lot of chickens. They are saved." Rescue. They just this is a popular banner among rescuers. They just say, uh, "Rescuing one animal doesn't change the world. It changes the world for that one animal." How emotionally dumb and stupid statement, right? So it actually changes the world for another animal because you took that one chicken, right? But tomorrow James is going to the restaurant. He's ordering chicken biryani or a chicken pizza or whatever, right? The restaurant manager is not going to come and say a vegan recently rescued a chicken from the farm that we buy in. So today you have to eat a veg pizza. So what he does is he just the farmer just breeds more chickens, right? But what a rational person would do is he would address the root cause, right? He would address the root cause, which is the demand for the products and the breeding of animals. He would go ahead and protest against the breeding of animals. Whereas an emotional empath, what he would do is he would just you know uh, try to rescue one chickens, which will be replaced by another chicken who is going to inevitably suffer and die. And this chicken also, like which he rescued, would have suffered until a point, right? So now he just caused double the suffering, right? So that is the difference between brainless moron searching for a solution, brainless, empathy without rationality, and the other thing is empathy with rationality. So people with rationality would be searching for rational solutions, logically what is best for the victims. People who are emotional will be uh, only doing the solution, only implementing the half-assed solutions which only satisfy their emotions.
Yeah. I've just had a thought, which is I think part of it is that for rational people, it's about like the imperfection, right? It's the world is in an imperfect state because there's so much suffering and because suffering exists, full stop, right? So until that imperfection is, solved, a rationalist would say, well, there's a problem and it needs solving. Why should we leave that problem alone?
Exactly.
So in that sense, I'd say it's about not striving towards perfection, but being, subconsciously driven towards it. And I also think that, part of the difference is that we see animals or people that pro-lifers discriminate against as, as we see that as something great to help them. That's a treasure, that's a prize. In the same way that, a pro-lifer might enjoy the smile on a child's face at Halloween when they give them some candy. Well, we're thinking about that on a much bigger scale, and it's that
We are
the good.
thinking about we are thinking about the same child who is given a candy with chloroform on it, kidnapped and raped and killed.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
Someone has to think about them, right?
so that's realism, right? It happens. So if you just keep thinking about the kids who receive candies without chloroform on it, you're a moron. You're an optimist moron.
Yeah, I do have to wonder if, in a world where, everyone has become plant-based because it's cheaper than, they won't do it for ethics, Steve, but because it's cheaper or it's better for your sex life, right? Let's say, this big moral dilemma of animal agriculture just doesn't exist anymore. Would that push people more towards just, starting to think about wild animal suffering, do you think?
See, I don't think so. The problem that exists between wild animals and people is not whether farming farming of animals existing or not. So yeah, if you see like majority of the vegans are nature lovers, right? Even a pro-lifer, may or may not be a nature lover, but majority of the vegans are nature lovers. So you cannot say that someone who doesn't discriminate farmed animals would necessarily not discriminate, or start thinking about wild animals. I don't think farmed animals is the issue. I think the major issue is like in the society, like wild animal suffering is even more normalized than farmed animal suffering. Right? Uh, just as you order a kid to go and buy chicken breast in supermarket, it's also normal to say tell a kid like it's nature. Lion has to kill a deer to survive. The deer has to die. If the deer escapes, and the lion have to starve. It's the circle of life. All these things are like taught in movies by parents, and the entire society just names this thing as something that is not suffering, something that should be ultimately accepted. And I think we have all seen this. There are hundreds of movies normalizing what all shit happens in nature.
Yeah, unfortunately. But I don't know if showing them the truth would even make a difference then.
See,
I
that
mean,
is what I'm saying. Like, so it is all about ash experiment, right? Like there will be a lot of empaths. So like uh, So veganism is something that came recently, right? But if you take throughout history, like before 1955, I think that's when they coined the term veganism. But even before that, you can see a lot of leaders and poets who fought for other causes, human related causes. They actually mentioned, okay, this dairy farming seems like something, there is something bad, right? There is something bad about eating meat. So many leaders throughout the world, who fought for human related issues, they were vegetarian, right? And some of them even pointed out the thing about dairy industry and enslavement and everything. So the thing is, everybody will be empathetic. Like there will be like empaths out there, a lot of empaths out there. And what would essentially be happening is that these people will not have the confidence. They'll be suppressed and forced to accept that, okay, these things are normal. Let me just accept and go. That is what we have to break by doing unapologetic activism. This is what Ash experiment says, right? So if 9 out of 10 people who are like actors say that the smaller circle is definitely the bigger one, then the 10th person who's actually the test subject, he says that the smaller is bigger as well. But even if one of them stands up and says that the smaller circle is actually the one that is smaller, the actual test subject is actually like, okay, uh, you know uh, I think about 75% or something, their conformity is broken, and they say that smaller circle is actually smaller, right? Even if even if among the actors you place someone who has vision disability, then also 25% of the conformity is broken. So so this is the thing about saying unapologetic stuff. You say that, okay, this is wrong. That's how you give confidence to people.
Mhm.
Right. So probably let me just you are a hardcore activist right now, right? So you are the one leading the movement for the past month, I guess. So so I've been a little bit inactive, I know. So the thing is, you I've seen your debate. That's why I'm saying this. You would have probably never become an extinctionist if you have never met other activists.
No.
But now you are so confident, right? So you know everything. You have made the connection. You'll probably never stop fighting for extinction. But this was just barely 4 or 5 months ago. You were actually debating us that extinction isn't possible.
Mm.
So everybody who says that extinction is impossible. So this is the thing, right? So somebody was there, somebody told you confidently, okay, this is possible, and you were someone who was, you were doubting it, but you weren't doing any activism, right? You were doubting, you were desperately, searching for a solution. You saw the suffering, you were searching for something, but until someone confidently told you, okay, this is wrong, you didn't get that right.
Mhm.
Right. So the only different case would be me, I guess. So I even saw this thing and I decided, I let me be the first person to say that this is wrong and activism needs to be done. Right. So nobody told me like, I actually found antinatalism, even ephilism, later after I became an extinctionist.
Right.
So I just decided like, if this is wrong, so I just kept wishing for the red button for a few days, and I was like, there is no use in wishing for something. I have to make it happen. What if I wished slavery was gone? 200 years ago, it wouldn't have been gone. If I have to make the button to abolish slavery, I have to make it and then press it, right? So this is the thing that gave me the initiative to make a page called Pro Extinction. Then I found a lot of people who had similar ideologies, uh, etc. So all this is about Ash's experiment. You just confidently say something is wrong, and rest of it is determinism. Literally, it's determined. Like if rationality grows, there is no stopping extinctionism. Literally nothing that will stop extinctionism, except if like rationality goes backwards or something like that. Right. So if intelligence rationality keeps growing, obviously extinctionism is a movement that will grow. And even now, and we don't even need to wait for like rationality to evolve and grow. We already, it has grown to a point where you and me are sitting right here and discussing extinctionism, and a lot of people like us are out there. And once this ideology becomes famous, all these people will start reaching back to you, right? We might have reached a total of maybe 100,000 people for now. That's all, like versus 8 billion, right? If we reach everybody, obviously we are going to have a lot of people, right? And nobody in history, they waited for people to become more empathetic or rational. They just gathered all the existing empaths and they just fought for the
Yeah,
stuff,
because
right?
they're actually motivated, and they don't just agree with it, right? They're literally
Yeah,
motivated towards it.
yeah,
You know, so yeah, if you're motivated towards ending suffering, then you can't just sit around and do nothing about it, because you'd be, exchanging their suffering for your laziness or pleasure, right?
yeah. You said it yourself, right? Even people who, there is
It's
like
it's
literally,
moral consistency, right? So, if they wouldn't torture a baby next to them, but they would torture it if it's in the forest, it's morally inconsistent, right?
yeah. And people would see it like, you know, uh, they just have to think, and we just have to give them something to think about. Not everybody can has the ability. Even in rationality, there are varying levels of rationality. Not everybody can think of it by themselves and start activism by themselves, but would participate in activism when someone else is doing it. And as you said, like even nobody's interfering in terrorism in Africa, right? People are literally killing each other, and nobody is interfering there. And things like racism still exists. It hasn't been solved yet. So what has been done is empaths, they gathered and they just changed the system to work in favor of them, and that too only reduced the those injustices in a larger scale, but it didn't completely end them. So that's why we need extinction, and we don't need everybody to essentially. So pro-lifers are never going to agree with wild animals or anything. That's never going to happen. Like we just need to reach empaths, and we shouldn't care about anything else.
Mhm.
So yeah, we can address some questions.
Okay. Why make more people if most will oppose or be indifferent to extinction? Well, if we didn't have more people, that would reduce the chance of extinction to zero, basically, or nearly zero, unless there's an intelligent alien life
I
form
mean,
that comes.
wow, this comment can be translated to it seems too difficult, so I'm not gonna do anything at all. That's what it translates to. So I can give you historical facts like like most of the injustices, most of the movements that were successful, uh, 90 or even more than 90% actively opposed to them, and not even 1% of the population actively fought against them, but still the 1% who fought against them achieved victory.
Yeah, just think they were saying, but what about
You
the
just have to
economy?
be smarter,
What
that's it.
about my job depends on that slavery. I'm the one selling them.
Exactly. See, the same things were said in slavery also. Like, you know what people say towards animals. Animals don't have that much brain. You know, in slavery, it was one step ahead. They actually took the brain, weighed it against a white person's brain, and they said black people's brain weighs less. So they don't deserve moral consideration. They are equal to animals. So, and in a 1958 survey, it showed that 94% were still against interracial marriages, meaning they were racist, right? So the rest of the six also weren't for it, right? They either had this also had the people who had no comments, right? And it had also the people who were, okay with black people, but wouldn't actively fight for them. So if you only counted the people who would actively fight for the black people, it would have been less than 1%, right? But still, that movement achieved a victory.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean
That's a
they can never achieve true victory again, but
Yeah, yeah. Okay, well, I think that's good for today, Steve, don't you?
yeah. Do we have any more questions or?
Yeah, well, there's a couple more. Yeah,
Yeah, if you want to leave, you can leave, but uh,
that's
I
okay.
don't see the question. Okay. I think an advanced alien civilization would be in favor of extinction, so they probably wouldn't be an obstacle. I mean, okay. Can advanced alien civilization become an obstacle? Okay. Yeah, yeah. My answer is the same. I don't think. I mean, if they are an obstacle, I think.
They would just be
Uh,
more pro-lifers, basically, right?
See, I don't.
Pro-life.
I don't think. I don't think society can progress without rationality and empathy. And if rationality and empathy progresses only, they can be that advanced civilization, right? So if it progresses, I don't see any. I don't see that. Can you see those advanced civilization believing in magic and God? So people in earth do still. So so I'm confident that those if they do exist, they wouldn't be that much irrational. But if they are irrational, so what? Like if they come to stop extinction, I'll fight them also.
Well, if they're not trying to cause extinction, would they themselves be by default pro-life?
I hate all pro-lifers equally. Yeah. Can an advanced civilization? Okay, you can go for the next question, I guess.
All right. Do we have any good questions? Can you give examples of what you're doing for activism?
I mean, this podcast is an example.
That's what I said. I said you're literally in one.
Yes. And yeah, as of we are doing online activism. We are doing offline activism also, but that is like not as frequent because we don't have that much activists at one place. Right? We are all not living at one place, so it's very difficult to get together. And but we have done a few offline activisms in Poland and two or three in India. So protests. So as of offline activism, we do protests, and I take street interviews very frequently, and we have done demonstrations, street campaigns, and As of online activism, we do our major activism platform is Reddit, and we do upload videos on Instagram, YouTube. Yep.
So, yeah, I've got a question, Steve.
Yeah,
I've heard that there's a Polish extinctionist group. Is that true?
that's Luke's group.
Right. So Luke actually has a group.
Yep. But most of them are not active. They are like total idiots who are like, uh, you are all
Polish.
vegan, we're non-vegan, you are all rapists, that kind of stuff.
Right. Okay.
I mean, like, I don't know, like, you are the one who did, you're a non-vegan, right? You are the one who did the video about farmed animals. What's their problem if a non-vegan liberates farmed animals?
Well.
I don't really understand that, right? So, like, if I smoke, and if I tell you like smoking is bad for you, what's wrong in that, right? So if tomorrow like we are causing like we are euthanizing all the farmed animals, and we are euthanizing all the wild animals, and then James comes and tells me that bro, just leave me a few chickens to eat, I'll come to UK and kill you myself. So, so I don't know like what's the problem, like, because vegans are choosing, so according to World Watch Institute, every vegans to save 30 square feet of forest a day. So if you just if you don't implement euthanasia for wild animals, and you are just saying like let's just liberate animals, go vegan, blah blah blah, then you're just choosing farmed animals over wild animals, and non-vegan extinctionists are choosing wild animals over farmed animals. But the thing is here, like, um, let's say for example there are two girls, right? So if you save one from getting raped, the other one will get raped. So here you shouldn't choose whether I'll choose the girl with the blue shirt to not get raped. I'll choose the girl with the red shirt to not get raped. Here the first thing you should do is you should end this system itself. The system itself shouldn't exist. That's what you should be doing here. So if you choose, so when you don't have that choice, whether to choose the blue girl or the red girl, and uh, but just by living, you're causing suffering, right? So at that time, I don't know, like whether why should we spend time on getting the rapist to focus on the girl with the blue shirt, right? I don't understand the point. Like, what you should be saying is both of them shouldn't exist. We will work on them simultaneously, right? So and then if some extinctionists disagree, okay, with reduction of population of wild and farmed animals, euthanasia for wild and farmed animals, then it makes sense to oppose them, but not right now. Like, these people are just cult followers. Like, they just want to follow veganism for like no apparent. All vegan, all non-vegans are rapists. You've seen their statements, right? Total idiots. Is the one? What was I even saying right now? Am I speaking English or what? Is it getting translated to Chinese or something? Like what was I even saying?
Uh,
So no, that's what I'm saying. Like, the goal is not to move everyone to veganism. The goal is to I mean, right now we are trying to establish extinctionism as a credible ideology by writing book, etc. But when it's over, when once we have more people, will be doing campaigns for animal euthanasia. The plan is to move animals towards euthanasia, not move everyone towards veganism. That's not useful at all. Unless you euthanize wild animals simultaneously. So banning animal industry makes sense unless if you are prepared to euthanize wild animals and prevent reforestation.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that we're choosing anyone with, any colored shirt to save over anyone else. And the extinction movement is an evolving, complex organism. So people keep trying to say, "Oh, you're going to do this. Oh, you're going to do that." Well, no. What we're doing is trying to end all suffering. Right? Everything else logically fits into that, or will logically fit into that, or revolve around it. So, these questions that you're asking, ideally, you'd try and figure them out yourself, right? It's nuanced, it's fluid. The movement will do whatever it has to do and whatever is best at the time. Okay. So people are constantly obsessed with trying to say, what are you going to do 100 years from now? What are you going to do 1,000 years from now? And why don't you have this 3-point plan 20 years from now? That's just too narrow-minded, basically.
Yeah.
Especially at this stage where the movement is still quite new. So no, we don't want to do cosmic extinction 100,000 years from now. That's, we can't make those sorts of decisions yet. We'll just do whatever's best at the time for reducing suffering.
Yeah.
In relation to presumably, a bigger plan for extinction, there's going to have to be some strategy involved. If, should we make this animal go extinct now, but it's going to make the pro-lifers go to war against us? A decision like that will have to be made.
Yeah. The ultimate goal is the main focus here. The rest of it is like a side quest. So if you are a gamer, you can understand this, I guess. So animal reduction of population of animals is a side quest. Main quest is the most vast and thorough extinction possible. But step one or right now access pretty much.
So doing activism and growing the movement, that is basically step one. Yeah. Of course, again, as Steve was telling me from the day I joined the movement, have an open mind. Don't, tunnel your mind into, well, this is step one, this is step two, and that's just how it is. As extinctionists and empaths, we're always open-minded. We're always thinking of new ways to take the movement forward. So it's constantly evolving and adapting, and that sort of intellectual fluidity is necessary for the movement. So yeah, I'd say all it really makes sense for to do right now is get into the activist space, right? If you want to be an activist, you don't need to qualify it first and say, well, what about this, that, and that? Just start, okay? You'll begin understanding what works, what doesn't work, what you're good at, what you're not good at. But just general activism is where to begin, and there's no need to get bogged down in the details before you start.
Activism is something you have to do from day one and till the last date, like till before you actually cause extinction. Minutes before it is something that is always required. Is step one, it's step N.
Yeah. Get active. Join us on the search for Pro Extinction on YouTube, search for Cosmic Extinction on Reddit or YouTube as well. Join our Discord. The links are everywhere. check my new YouTube channel out, Universal Extinction. And yeah, get active, help us end suffering as soon as possible. Anything else you want to add, Steve?
Yeah, nothing else.
Well, that's great. Thank you, everyone. We will see you on the next
Bye.
episode next week.